Welcome to the third edition of my top 10 throws of the week. For those of you who missed episodes 1 and 2, I'll quickly explain my process behind developing this list, and while I do so, you can watch some honorable mentions that just missed the cut. I call this top 10 throws of the week, but I want you to think of it more as top 10 pass plays by quarterbacks. The pre-snap process matters, the post-snap process matters, and the situation matters. Throws that follow pre-snap coverage recognition or post-snap eye manipulation are going to be evaluated differently from throws that didn't. Throws that happen late in close games or on key third downs are again going to be evaluated differently from throws that happened in low leverage situations. Rather than just evaluating the throw, we're going to look at the context, which I promise you makes this much more interesting than it would be if we were just talking about the throw. This series hasn't reached a very wide audience so far, but I really appreciate the support that you guys have shown for it. If you want this to continue, keep that up. Drop a like, drop a comment, hit subscribe so that I can justify the time that goes into these going forward. And one last thing before I get started. I will miss plays. I can't watch every play from every game. I did my best to watch all of the best throws of the week this week, but feel free to flame me in the comments for the ones I missed or for the order I decided on. With that out of the way, I'll start with this awesome throw by Jayden Daniels from late in the first half of Washington's game against Cincinnati. Facing 2nd and 5, the Commanders called a two-man deep shot concept off of play action, which tells the number 1 up top to run a dig route and the number 1 down low to run a go route. Cincinnati is in a staggered two-high safety look that becomes quarters post-snap, so both of these number 1 receivers are essentially bracketed by two deep quarter defenders. Post-snap, Terry McLaurin does a great job of taking an outside stem at about 70% of his top speed. That allows him to push Bengals wide corner Cam Taylor-Britt further outside and closes the gap between them. Once that gap is closed, McLaurin turns on the jets. He separates with the ball in the air, and Daniels hits him in stride for a gain of 55 yards. At number 9, I have this beautifully designed concept by Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady on Thursday night against Jacksonville. The Bills come out in a 4-strong formation, meaning 4 of the 5 eligible receivers are on one side of the center. The alignment of the defensive backs here is a clear indicator of man coverage. There are cornerbacks lined up opposite all 3 wide receivers, a safety over the tight end, and a linebacker over the running back. Buffalo called a shot play with clear out routes from both number 1 receivers, designed to give the running back, James Cook, a one-on-one matchup with a linebacker on a cross rail route. To create some traffic over the middle, Buffalo puts Curtis Samuel in motion around behind Josh Allen. Jaguars cornerback Christian Braswell has to follow him, and Devin Lloyd, the linebacker responsible for James Cook, feels Braswell behind him. That little bit of traffic, along with the left guard pulling to the right side, causes Lloyd to get downhill aggressively after the ball is snapped. It was over from the start for Lloyd. He can't change directions quickly enough to recover here. Joe Brady did a great job of creating chaos in the middle of the field, and Josh Allen did the rest. Look at the way Allen jumped to swing his hips around when he released this ball. With pressure closing in, he couldn't step into it, but he didn't let that impact his accuracy, and we're just going to ignore the fact that James Cook dropped it. At number 8, I have the first of many you'll see today from Andy Dalton, and this one was on 3rd and goal from the 5. The Raiders present a pretty clear man coverage look with man alignment to the 3 receiver side, so Carolina goes with the universal man beater, known as mesh, with intersecting shallow crossing routes from the tight end, Tommy Tremble, and the number 3 receiver, Deontay Johnson. Post-snap, the left tackle, Ike Ekwonu, allows the edge, Tyree Wilson, to get in pretty much free. It's tough to tell whether this was a bad protection call that gave Ekwonu a dual read on the left side, or if it was a bad interpretation of a good protection call that told Ekwonu to take Wilson one-on-one. Either way, Ekwonu doesn't get nearly enough depth in his pass set, which allows Wilson to win instantly. With pressure closing in from his blind side, Dalton drifts to the right, then throws a perfect ball over the safety into Johnson's hands for a 5-yard touchdown. Caleb Williams claims the number 7 spot with this bomb he dropped in the second quarter against Indianapolis. Chicago called a two-man deep shot concept off of play action that tells DJ Moore to run a stop route from the number 1 spot, and Rome Odunze to run a go route off of jet motion on the outside. The motion gets Odunze matched up one-on-one with a safety, and Williams just drops it in his hands. There was no margin for error here. Odunze did not create much vertical separation. In terms of pure placement, this is one of the best throws we've seen all year. For number 6, we'll go back to Vegas for some more old man quarterbacking by the Red Rifle. It's 3rd and 14, and Carolina calls a cross dig concept at the top of your screen, which tells Adam Thielen to run the crossing route and Deontay Johnson to run the dig route behind it. Vegas rolls from a pre-snap 2-high safety shell to cover 3 buzz, which is a 3-deep coverage that tells the field side safety, Marcus Epps, to play the robber role in the middle of the field. The post-snap process from Dalton here is just awesome, and I want you to pay close attention to his feet. First, he reads the post-snap coverage rotation, and once he identifies the 3-deep structure, he knows he needs to take the robber safety out of the window of that dig route. So he opens up his hips and points his front foot at the running back. That lower body movement has the effect of a pump fake, because it suggests to the defenders that Dalton's about to check down. Marcus Epps bites on the fake, and Dalton resets his feet to hit the dig route within structure for a gain of 23 on 3rd and long. Just beautiful post-snap manipulation by the family man. At number 5, I have this awesome touchdown pass from Josh Allen to Buffalo's other running back who likes to catch touchdown passes, Ty Johnson. Joe Brady again does a great job of testing Jacksonville's linebackers in coverage downfield. The Jags show a 1-high safety shell pre-snap, and Buffalo gets a zone coverage ID when they send the tight end, Dawson Knox, in motion from the field side to the boundary side. The defense is in match cover 3, which essentially becomes man coverage post-snap. The entire playside route concept is designed to exploit the matchup in red here between Ty Johnson and Chad Muma. The number 1 receiver at the bottom drags the wide corner away from the sideline, and the tight end drags the apex defender to the flat, isolating Muma on Johnson, who's headed for the pylon. The pass protection call here is a half slide to the right, so the left guard and the left tackle are manned up on the 3-tech and the edge rusher respectively. Jacksonville calls an ET stunt to that side, which tells Josh Hines-Allen to penetrate through the B-gap, and Roy Robertson-Harris to loop around the outside. The man side of the protection call is especially susceptible to a stunt, so Robertson-Harris gets in free. Josh Allen drifts to his left with pressure closing in, and makes an awesome anticipatory throw from a moving platform to extend Buffalo's lead right before the half. For number 4, I'll take us back to Vegas again for another beauty from Andy Dalton. Carolina calls a bootleg flood concept off of wide zone action that puts a 3-level vertical stretch on the defense. Xavier Legette is running a corner route as the vertical read, Deontay Johnson is running an over route as the intermediate read, and Tommy Tremble is running a flat route as the shallow read. Post-snap, the defense plays this really well. Max Crosby doesn't over-pursue the run action, so he gets a free shot at Dalton as he rolls left. The nickel, Nate Hobbs, is all over Tommy Tremble in the flat, and the wide corner, Jack Jones, maintains outside leverage over Xavier Legette. As Crosby closes in, Dalton needs to get rid of the ball, so he layers it over the linebacker right into Deontay Johnson's hands without being able to step into the throw. Jack Jones knocked it out, but the only reason why he was in position to do so was because of a major flaw in either the design or the execution here. Xavier Legette needs to put way more vertical stress on the defense. There isn't nearly enough space between Legette and Johnson here, so the man responsible for Legette is able to make a play on the ball when Johnson is targeted. It's impossible to know if that's a design flaw or if Legette just ran a bad route, but either way, it leads to a missed opportunity despite a perfect ball from Dalton under heavy pressure. At number 3, I have this chaotic 3rd down throw from CJ Stroud against Minnesota. The defense comes out in a classic Brian Flores look with 7 defenders on the line of scrimmage and off coverage from the defensive backs. Recognizing the heavy blitz look, Stroud tells Tank Dell, lined up at the bottom of your screen, to release outside of the defensive back on a quick post route. The Vikings wide corners play inside breaking routes super aggressively from these off coverage looks, so Stroud takes advantage by throwing over the defensive back. It was an aggressive plan to exploit this defensive tendency that required perfect timing and accuracy from Stroud. Unfortunately, Houston was called for illegal formation because Laramie Tunsil wasn't lined up on the line of scrimmage. It was an awesome throw taken away by a penalty that had no impact on the play, so even though it didn't count, it still earned its spot on the list. Andy Dalton makes his 4th and final appearance on this week's list with this crazy throw to Adam Thielen to claim the number 2 spot. Carolina gets a quarters look from the defense with a 2-high safety shell and off coverage from both wide corners, and they respond with a double post concept. The call tells Jonathan Mingo to run a true post from the number 3 spot, dragging the field side safety away from the middle of the field, while Adam Thielen runs a more vertical post from the number 2 spot, getting into the space vacated by that safety. Post-snap, Dalton keys Mingo to hold that safety in the middle of the field before targeting Thielen. And look at the anticipation here. Dalton begins his throwing motion to Thielen when the safety still has a 9-yard cushion. Somehow he layers it over the safety and drops it right into Thielen's hands for a 31-yard touchdown. And the number 1 throw of the week belongs to the subject of this week's analysis video, Jayden Daniels. The Commanders are up 5, facing 3rd and 7 in the fourth quarter, and Cincinnati comes out in a heavy blitz look with 8 defenders on the line of scrimmage and 3 defensive backs in off coverage. Washington makes an ultra-aggressive call that tells both number 1 receivers to run go routes. Terry McLaurin hits the wide corner with a stutter about 7 yards downfield, and Daniels places the ball perfectly under heavy pressure to put the dagger in Cincinnati. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'll be back after the Week 4 games, so until then, take care.